Tell me about the vision. What was your vision in this?
Right. So the visions more from a global standpoint was humanizing the basically data driven initiatives. But the second thing was to provide a reliable partner, reliable solutions to organization in which perhaps maybe don't have the corporate budgets basically to be able to access such worldwide neuroscience research and implementations. So it was truly our vision and our placement in the market is to be the greatest allies of SMEs, not only from a budget standpoint, but more from a value standpoint, to help them understand that what they're getting with Core Centrica is a partner that hold their hands. But on top of that is a novel concept that actually a few decades ago, not even a few decades ago, was only reserved to the very very tippy top of any industry. And we want to democratize that because I'm a huge believer that knowledge should be not only free flowing but as widely accessible as possible. And that it gave us an opportunity to utilize worldwide research and democratize it in a way in which most people can be enlightened by it. So it's a little bit of the that's where the consultancy portion comes in. Is truly what we want our clients to understand is not only why this works from a tangible standpoint, but also for them to realize that such things can be not only sustainable long term, but also can be growing their vision in a way in which is much more human and perhaps aligned with their personality and personal values.
Absolutely. Yes, makes all the sense in the world. And as you were speaking, it's very interesting. You might giggle about this. I go back to you stating that when you were 17 in 2021.
Yes.
Please share with me how old you are, because I'm like, the way that you speak and how certain and how the experience and the expertise in how you speak, it's mind blowing. Please, if you don't mind sharing with me, Sam, how old you are.
Well, I'm 20 years old, and so I've been in business, like I said, ever since I was 17. This is a bigger project now that I'm taking on, which I'm very proud of. And we have a great team, which we're always trying to strive for greatness. But yes, I appreciate your kind words. I get those comments quite often. I had a little bit of a different upbringing, being homeschool and also was able to graduate college a bit in advance from the typical curriculum, which I think gives me perhaps the not only the confidence but also more time to be able to find myself, find my ways, and who I am, and therefore make the world benefit from it. So still quite a young gentleman, but I have the ambitions to make Core Centrica, like I said, the market leader when it comes down to what we call meaningful marketing, and working very hard at it every single day.
Yes, yes. If I may say, Sam, I'm super proud of you for what it's worth. Congratulations to you as you start in the entrepreneurship world at such a young age, and I cannot imagine where you'll be when you get to my age. And I'm 40. I'll be 46 this year. So
Wow.
ku- kudos to you. I tell you. So it's again, as I mentioned to you before, my head is going to go a little bit off a little bit, but if I knew now, back then what I could see how it could develop. But there's so many things that have changed. And yes, you were 17 and now you're at the age of 20. Have you seen a big shift in this and in everything that you're trying to do? If so, can you explain that to me?
Right. Well, first of all, you look very good and much younger. So perhaps continue doing what you're doing. And
Thank
from that my perspective, yes, I do think there's some changes, and we're getting to a point where, and that's only again a few years ago, but
you.
we're getting to a point where the technology landscape is now so complex and so basically robust that we're definitely getting to a point where if you're not a technology company of some kinds, you'll get left behind. And that shift is one that we were sensing back in 2021, but not to this extent. I think that we're now in a world where I don't recall the author of such quote, but it was a very very prolific consultant that was talking to us and say, you know what, Sam, by 2030, either basically you'll jump on the technology and AI basically wave, or your company will cease to exist. It's that critical of a moment. And I do believe such thing is true. And I think that our science is also very well positioned to once again humanize basically what could be a little bit of a robotic, obviously, industry. And there's nothing wrong with that. But what we see is at the end of the day, you're still selling to a human being, right? It can be
Yeah,
through AI, can be through any technology you like. But at the other end of the phone, at the other end of the Zoom call, is a real human beings with real values and real substance and an intrinsic value as well that, in my opinion, is derived from a higher power. So as good as technology will get, they will never be basically having a soul and an understanding of everything that we do, and that's how we could not only survive but thrive. Is to understand that it's only another tools, and if utilized the correct way, humanity will be actually much better because of it.
absolutely. And you're right. You can't take the humanizing out of any of this. But technology has grown so much. It's just been truly. I'm completely shocked as I remember the desktops that had green writing and black backgrounds, and that's it. You know what I mean? I was just telling my kids, I was like, "Hey, we used to go and put a disk, in the computer to try to figure things out, and now we have things like, you know." Chat GPT and things like that, and it just grew significantly. And as you have merged with the core group the creative core group to get to this point, what was your most significant learning experience?
Mm. It's a great question, and yes, no, you're right. Automation specifically, I think, is now a complete game changer, and I'm sure that Vision Pro obviously utilize some of it. But for my part, and I merged with an extraordinary gentleman called Peter Headley, and I learned a lot. Actually, learned a lot. He's an older, he's a very seasoned professional, and I learned a lot from him from not only his experience, but also from his from his personality type. He's an introvert, a very very logical and pragmatic type of person, which I am as well. But I'm always amazed and shocked at how important it is to be basically personality wise complementary with a partner, not only for the simple sake of growing the business, but enjoying it along the ride. In business, there's ups and downs. Any business has ups and downs, and it's very easy to smile through the ups. Way harder to do so when some of the bumps basically comes in. And that's the main thing that I learned is how to manage crisis, how to utilize basically contingency plans, to understand that, hey, we have a business plan, we have a strategy, but the reality is the rate, or perhaps the chances are, there will need some flexibility within it, as there's a bunch of variables that we may not be able to understand at the moment of crafting such plan. So I'm much more flexible now, much more at peace with understanding basically how to manage expectations and internal and external basically engines. I would say I'm much more versatile as a human being first and foremost, and that's probably the biggest learning experience for me this far.
Absolutely. So you mentioned niche. What's your niche? What is the
So
niche for the company?
right. So our niche is primarily basically, and I said this very often, but our objective is to work with great business to make them even better. So most of our companies that we work with have an extraordinary and very meaningful missions. So a lot of companies that we work with will be in wellness, for example. They have an incredible device which can save life. That's fantastic. Type of client for us. They might be in tech and they find a new revolutionary way to help basically maybe dyslexic to operate better within their day-to-day operations. We love to work with transcenders. We love to work with trailblazers that understand and move the market. And as our science is very novel, that also serves us very well, because what we know from a brand structure standpoint is when you look at the adaptation curve, one thing that is very important for us as a startup is to always focus on the early adapters and even innovators, because they're the first movers in any market. So their brain structure operates in a very similar fashion, and it works very well with our missions of disrupting the markets. So that's basically the niche we operate on is trailblazers, is people wanting to make a difference in this world, and operate a business for more than a simple monetary sake.
Absolutely. So when they come to you and they have these ideas and they've just reached out and had maybe a short consultation, as you begin to work with them, what are some of the biggest challenges you see the leaders face or the companies face?
Yeah, another fantastic question. One thing that I see a lot, specifically in SMEs, is a lot of difficulties when it comes down to optimizing and making the most of their advertising and marketing dollars. We were basically in a world even a few years, but certainly a few decades ago, where it was extremely difficult to talk to basically not only target but also understand if marketing was successful or not, which unfortunately had the unfortunate consequence of a lot of used budgets for truly not much return. And that's where the data part comes in meaningful marketing. We still want to own in on that because that's how we're going to make decisions. But that's the main problem that I see them facing is just either a misunderstanding from their side, but two, and most importantly, is truly understanding that when you work with the professional team like the one we have at Core Centrica, that's the only thing we do, right? So for the same reason where I go to my car mechanic when my car breaks down, or to the dentist where I have toothache, is we truly own in on the idea that if it's not your genius, it's not your job. So focus on what your business is incredible at doing, and afterwards delegate and perhaps work with the team in which are incredible basically at on the marketing standpoints. And that's how we see basically greatness emerge and happen. So that's definitely the biggest thing that I see is, and leaders ask me this all the time. Hey Sam, we have let's say $10,000 marketing budgets. What can we do with it? And that's where the consultancy from Core Centrica standpoint is so valuable, because our objective will be to not only make the most of those dollars, but have a team to go at it and make it happen on top of it. But that will be point number one for sure.
Absolutely. And then with Core Centrica and where you're going now is what's on the rise. You've already did the neuroscience and the marketing, and you've collaborated it. What's next?
What's next is a way in which we can diversify our offers so that as many people in the world can benefit from its excellence. So this year it's going to be very interesting for us to find a model in which we can have lower ticket offers. We can basically utilize other technology as well to embed our science into to grab market shares. So as we only work as a concierge service right now, this year will be about diversifying basically such offerings so that again the world can, as many people as possible, can benefit from it. So we're working as we speak on a very interesting technology, AI technology, that will be basically incorporating the neuroscience as within his hard drive to truly differentiate not only from messages to messages, but also making it super, super authentic to not only your voice, but your industries, making sure that we can do neuroscientific research and not just market research. So it's going to be very interesting to see perhaps the development of such things. But that's our main objective this year: is how can we make sure from a team standpoint that we restructure it to a point that we have, well, obviously achieving operation excellence, but then diversifying the offers so that even more people and entrepreneurs in the world perhaps can benefit from such science.
Yes, yes, yes. I truly, I'm very intrigued, Sam. I am very intrigued. As I mentioned to you before, I didn't want to read too much into everything because I want to hear it just like the audience hears it. And hearing it now, it has me a little like searching for questions, wanting to ask all these questions, sometimes even forgetting, Sam, just you and I talking. I'm like, oh, I forget I'm on a podcast. But this is definitely different. This is definitely something, it's, if I may say, it's no chat GPT, right? This is
Right.
no to type it in there and have it do. And interesting enough, bringing up chat GPT, what's the difference? What's the difference from a SME deciding to, oh, I'll just start this way and see what it could do for me, rather than saying, hey, Core Centrica, tell me what I can do differently by utilizing your services.
Right. It's interesting for us, and we're not against utilizing AI at all. It's actually quite the opposite. AI is fantastic as an ideation ideation software, as even a software in which can get you about 80% of the way in any sorts of marketing initiative that you want. The real issue with AI is that, one, it's just as good as the input that you basically give it, which that's one portion of basically what the problem might be. If you're not a prompt engineer or somebody that has a very very interesting or intricate understanding of what to say and where and how to go deeper within those prompts, there's some issue that can emerge from that. But then also it's because there's no implementations, right? So think of ChatGPT as maybe an advisor, maybe a consultant if you use it well, but they will never be an implementation ally. So if you don't have what it takes from an internal standpoint to utilize it fully and to optimize basically what can be basically its insights, then you're only partially or even probably very very smallly in a very very small fashion actually taking what's all the value off of it. So think of Core Centrica as a full service marketing agency that can not only help you with that first portion of that process, which is consulting, ideating, but then afterwards making sure that we actually have a team and a people in which actually excels within that teams to go to market with it and make it happen. It's really one of a kind in this way, because we take a lot of times in making sure that we not only customize each plan to all the companies that we work with, but because the science is so novel and cannot be utilized by anyone else within this market, it just gives us an edge that unfortunately chatbots will never have.
Absolutely. Great way. I mean, there's no way to, I mean, put a stamp on this by that statement. I mean, that was in great detail, very straightforward. Sam, I truly appreciate it. Please let the audience know how they can get in touch with you, read more about it, social media handles, websites, please, and thank you.
Yes. Well, I have this great QR code right next to my head. That's fantastic to see all information about us. You'll get access to our websites, all my social media handles, our podcast as well, which you can dive deeper with some extraordinary business leaders. You can reach out to me directly at sam@corecentrica.com, CoreCentrica.com. And I am also on LinkedIn, very active on LinkedIn. My handle is just Sam Pepin. I will be the first one to pop up. And those are all fantastic ways to first contact me. And I'm looking forward to discussing with anyone that wants to take their business to the next level, and why not benefit the world on top of it.
Thank you for being here today. I'm really happy that you tuned in to Vision Pros Live. I'm looking forward to seeing your reactions as these episodes continue to move forward. This is going to get more and more fun. We'll have more engagement as well. We'll invite people to participate in the show. And thank you for giving us your time and attention. Have an excellent time building out your vision and becoming a Vision Pro yourself.